When I see somebody doing really amazing things, I'm often reminded of this quote: "The depth of your inner struggle determines the height of your success." And today we have a beautiful example of this. I am so excited to introduce you to Lindsey Robison of Lighthouse Yoga and Fitness here in Hudson, Wisconsin. In this episode, we get into the story of how Lighthouse Yoga and Fitness came to be, the journey of Lindsey finding her purpose and passion, along with creating a community of her perfect people coming in her doors every single day. Lighthouse Yoga and Fitness is part of the latest edition of Healthy in the Valley, and Healthy in the Valley is a free digital resource for the entire St. Croix Valley. In each publication, you're going to find the area's best and leading business owners who are passionate about health and wellness and ready to serve you to live your best life in mind, body, and soul. So if you are local to the St. Croix Valley, I invite you to grab your free download filled with exclusive offers from these business owners by going to healthyinthevalley.com. And now I am super excited for you all to hear from Lindsey Robison and hear her story of resilience, of overcoming, of creativity, of the scenic route of getting to where she is now. She genuinely is shining her light so bright and attracting such a community of people in her doors. She's inspiring. She's encouraging. She is so many things. And when you look at her business, you can see why after hearing her story. This is something she hasn't shared much about, and she was cautious and nervous about sharing it, but she realized she needs to talk more about this because it's such a huge part in creating the business that she has now. So I invite you to just savor and learn and reflect on how one can really overcome, and let this be the encouragement you need to take your next challenge and your next thing and say, yes, I can do that. Enjoy, y'all. This one's good. You've put your blood, sweat, and tears into creating a storefront that lights you up, serves your clients well, and contributes significantly to the community you love. You are my hero, and I affectionately call you a rebel woman. Hey there, my name is Melissa Rose, a brick and mortar business owner with a handful of kiddos and a few passion projects that I head up like this one. I'm also your visibility coach and consultant for a service-based business like yours. I'm passionate about helping small business owners thrive in their community and become the only option in town for their industry. In this podcast, we're going to share the nitty-gritty of running a successful brick and mortar business by sharing stories, talking strategies, and learning practical tips to run a kick-ass business. Ready to be inspired, empowered, and equipped to create the small business of your dreams? Let's get real. Welcome to the podcast, Lindsey Robison. How are you?
Oh, I'm awesome. How are you, Melissa?
You look so good.
Oh, you're so
awesome. Good. You have your ball cap on. I don't have my ball cap on. We usually always have our ball caps on. And I'm so excited for this.
I know. I love that you are on the same page always.
All right, you guys. So Lindsey is the owner of Lighthouse Yoga and Fitness here in Hudson, Wisconsin. She's part of Healthy in the Valley, and we're so excited to talk to her about her story and her journey. But she has also been on the podcast before. And so catch that one, because that really talks about the community that she's created. But we're going to dive into your story. So before we do that, Lindsey, tell us what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Oh, goodness. I think, looking back, I was always a performer, but I think diving deeper into that, I love connecting with people. So what I grew up doing was performing, singing, writing, dancing, being on stage. And I've always kind of looked at that as training for what I'm kind of doing now, in the sense of I was feeling people, I was connecting with them, I was learning what, their reactions were and how to truly connect, especially through my music. Like, that's ultimately where my first passion, I guess you could call it, was. I grew up singing. I loved to write, and that stemmed into like writing my own music, making demos, being in musical theater was like my first love ever. And I danced through those years too. So I was a performer. I loved it. And that was kind of what made me happy. And that's, I followed that into college, where I majored actually at Northeastern University in Boston in music industry. So I took the business route of the music side and learned. So most of my classes were business entertainment related, but I also had that music infused too. So I was learning, some of the theory, the writing. All of my friends were like next door at Berklee College of Music. So we jammed during like at night, we'd go, bounce around and play in bands and gigs and different stuff. And then during the day I was like going to school. So this was all like a past life. Like it feels like
it does feel like, but oh my gosh, that's such a huge foundational part of our lives and a big part of your life. So you went out east. Very cool. And do you do any of that right now in your life?
So that's the crazy part. That's where I feel maybe a little piece creatively is missing right now. However, I've found a way, and that's a big foundation of Lighthouse is the music piece, whether people get that right away or not. I think people feel it, but what drives personally a lot of my classes and what a lot of teachers do very well here is it's music driven. Like I really feel like music, we all have different backgrounds. We all have different beliefs, but when it comes down to it, music has a way of touching people and connecting with people like nothing else. And I really wholeheartedly believe that it's like the universal language that we all can relate to, we all can use. So I feel like I've found a way to still carry music through the yoga studio, through my teaching, yoga and fitness classes. And that's a huge driver for my personal classes for the studio. And that's how I still infuse it, I feel like, into my...
Absolutely. And I would agree with that. Like I literally just said this morning that her playlist is awesome. It's just so good. And that was something that I did notice and I have noticed, but totally, yes, it totally makes a difference in how you take class and how you participate. And even with my studio, my music people will comment, I love your music for what you choose for the students to dance to. Cause it's not only that, but for different reasons. They're listening to it repetitively. So you want to be really intentional about what our students are hearing and the lyrics they're hearing. And I really want them to be empowering and going forward and charging forward and being strong and confident. So very interesting. Okay. So tell us the journey of Lighthouse and how and why that all started.
Yeah. So, okay. This is a perfect segue, to be honest, because when I was out there, as I'm sure maybe you can imagine, that music, that lifestyle, at least what I was living, in college, my priorities were perhaps not what they are now. I like to go out and have fun. I worked at the bars, I bartended, I served. I mean, that whole lifestyle on top of what I feel like just historically follows some musicians and things is that nightlife. Yeah. And I found myself when I was out there, because I stayed out in Boston, I was there almost 8 years total. So I stayed out there after college. I dabbled in real estate. I mean, I was all over the place. I was doing the serving, bartending and stuff, still music, but I got so lost and drinking became my life, basically. That started out there to the point where I was like, I've got to come home and reestablish my life. And that's what drove me ultimately back home from Boston. I was feeling out of control. I mean, for lack of better words, and needed to ground down again. So when I came back here, after being out there for so long, I felt lost. I was like, you learn when you're chasing a dream of, especially being a musician and stuff, you learn you're a very small fish in a very, very, very big pond. And I mean, people get lucky, but you realize it's not always a lifestyle you can sustain. So I think I felt lost. Like I thought that's what I was going to do with my life. And it wasn't that I wasn't, I think, talented and loved it, but I needed to make a living. And I also lost my drive. And really, to be honest with you, and I don't share this with most people, but I think it's maybe time that I start sharing because it's ultimately the foundation of how Lighthouse was built.
Yeah.
I was alcohol completely consumed my life.
Wow.
And to the point where I had to seek help on more than one occasion.
Okay.
So during that process, which ended up being years, found yoga. And for me, it was the one time I felt again and felt alive because I had lost what I thought my life was going to be, which was music, entertainment, writing, doing all these things. Even I had at one point, I guess, to backtrack, I had come back in between school for a few years, and I was actually an intern for the Dave Bryan in the Morning Show for a few years. Had amazing opportunities there. And that's a whole nother lifestyle as well. I learned so much. There's things I learned there that I still carry now. But I think with that lifestyle, once again, you can take a turn if you don't have yourself in control. And at the time, I think I was running from a lot of things in my 20s through, college and all of the stuff that, I don't know, my escape was alcohol. And so to, I guess, come back to where I was leaving off. Now I get sometimes backtrack because I don't share this with a lot of people.
No,
so it gets kind of like skewed in my brain too, as to what the actual like
timeline
is. Yeah. But, I found yoga when I was kind of finding myself again. And it was the one place where I could feel, because alcohol took away my feel for anything.
Yeah.
And that's all I knew anymore. So to like feel again and to feel good without alcohol in a sweaty, hot yoga class with the music blasting, because my jam personally is yoga sculpt. I mean, I love all forms of yoga, and we all need, I feel like, a little bit of everything. But that was where I felt alive. It had the music. It had the feeling of like, I can't do anymore, but I'm going to prove myself wrong. Like strength. It had everything that I had been searching for and maybe running from at the same time. And so I'll never forget, I said after my first class, I'm going to teach this and I'm going to open a place. And at the time, of course, that's so far off from what you ever can envision or think will actually happen, but I will not forget that moment. And I thought I was going to pass out in my first class. I thought I was going to throw up all of these emotions, yet here I went back for more. And yoga saved my life. It literally, figuratively, all of the things saved my life. And I knew that I had to share that with other people. If nothing else could help me, how I felt at the time anyway. And that was the one thing that literally saved me. How could I not share that with other people? Like, how could I not? And so that's kind of what started the whole path. So eventually I enrolled in teacher training.
And I just would like to just interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to interrupt. So how long ago was that when you were in that room saying, this is what I want to do? That
was 2013.
Okay.
14. It wasn't very.
Love it.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Okay. Moving forward. Okay. I just want to know that because it takes time. Because I think that's quite a bit of, like I knew I wanted to perform at age 5. I saw somebody performing and I was like, no, I'm doing that. And then I did it. But then I always knew I would have a studio. And that was like in 8th grade that I was like, I'm doing that. But it didn't manifest itself until much later. So it's interesting. So you took that class 2013-ish and knew in your heart that, yes, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
Awesome.
At the time I was still drinking too. So there's that too. Let's be honest. Like, okay, that's like a great idea. And I mean,
were you in Boston or were you back home?
This is back home. This is back home here. Yep. I never went back to Boston. This is back here. And I mean, that would be an ongoing cycle of me with a lot of help going up and down. I mean, it was to the point where I almost lost my life, how bad I was, which is hard now to even see that person.
Right.
And I think it's good to share and why I'm so adamant about through this studio enforcing and voicing, like, you are stronger than you think you are. You can do anything you believe in and put your trust in and work hard for it, because I know that firsthand. And I truly feel like, too, not to bring up COVID, but like that also during that time is what helped me get through that. I'm like, I've been through a lot worse. This is like, let's do it. Like, let's figure it out. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
That was the truth.
Yeah.
So that prepared me, I feel like, truly, for having opened 6 months before COVID and having to get through that. God had prepared me is what I believe.
Amen.
going through some of the other things that I had done, because I don't think I would have been able to handle that mentally, physically at all. But yeah, so I ended up entering teacher training 2015. Shortly after, I also had brain surgery, which was 2015 was kind of the turning point of a lot of things. I became severely ill with just a rare condition. Nobody could help me. I was down at the Mayo Clinic a few times a week. They were trying to figure out what was wrong. I was getting severe pain. It can be described as like an ice pick going through your ear consistently, but they couldn't figure out what was going on with me, what was wrong. And long story short, ended up finding this neurosurgeon in Pennsylvania. It was the only out of how many people that performed this surgery in the world that could cure this issue that I was having. So I went through with the brain surgery and actually went into cardiac arrest during the surgery, which to this day, coming out of that, I truly, truly believe I was still supposed to be here for something. And they think it was potentially due because I was still drinking and going through potential withdrawals. It could be, I mean, there's so many things that my drinking just had a negative, obviously, effect on. And lucky, obviously, I'm still here after that, because it's a whole nother.
Wow. Holy Hannah.
In 2015, I actually left brain surgery, staples still in my head, walked into teacher training. I'm like, I'm not letting this stop me. I'm set on doing teacher training. There's a reason I'm supposed to do this. So the majority of my teacher training sat in the back because I couldn't do anything, but was set on doing it at the time, staples in my head, watched, and then ended up graduating from it. And there I was, ready to be a teacher, 2015. And so again, this wasn't super, super long ago. It's not like I've been teaching for 20 years, like some people I have on staff here.
Right.
But I said that day, I'll never forget going home to my husband, Nick, saying, all right, I got my certification. Nick, I'm going to open a studio. And he was like, whoa there, little one, calm down. How about you teach for a couple of years? You'll like it. And let's go from there. You know, my voice of reason. This is why we work so well, because I'm the dreamer.
Yes,
and like,
you need those people.
Yeah, bring me back down to ground level for a second.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was right. And I still was set on it. I had a very comfy job. I was doing very, well. And I just decided this is what we're going to do. And it never changed. And in fact, it grew. And I just, when you keep hearing whispers from the universe, I always call them, that are like, you're on the right path, keep taking that right step. Yes, you got to do it. And finally, I just was like, this is it. I got to open. I got to try it.
All right. So you opened in 2019.
Yeah.
So the fall of 2019.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And opened this beautiful state-of-the-art studio. It is stunning. It is gorgeous. It's everything you do is with excellence. It's just gorgeous. And it's inferred where the title came from, but what made you call it Lighthouse?
Yeah. I came up with so many different possibilities, and this was always the first one. Lighthouse was always what was whispering in my head, always from day one. Lighthouse, lighthouse, lighthouse. And for a while, I second guessed myself because I'm like, that sounds so cheesy, so corny. But when I was going through my very, very darkest days, yoga was my light always. And I don't even remember the exact day it came to me. It was like and Nick will laugh because he's always like, that was the first name that you ever brought up. And then I second guessed myself and came up with all these clever, like cute or like really intense. And
what were some of the other ones? Do you remember?
I do. One was VIM, VIM, and it was because it meant something, and I can't even now remember what it is. Honestly, it was like trying to, going on Pinterest and being like, what means this?
Yeah,
and finding all these ridiculous, things. And then it's also like, as you, I'm sure know, like checking out trademarks and other like business names and what's available and all this stuff. And I thought I was getting so creative, but it always came back to Lighthouse. Like, what does this truly stand for? I wanted it to be other people's light in the darkness. Like that's what it was for me. And, in yoga too, namaste, we say at the end of class, the light in me honors the light in you. And light stands for everything we're about. It's about being alive. It's about, everything that our heart and soul stands for. And to me, I'm like, what better way to symbolize a studio than that? And house, to be honest, like I split the two too, like lighthouse, 2 words, because I was trying to be a little clever, but to me, like house means it's like where you feel at home.
Yeah.
So it's where you belong. It's where you have family. It's a community. So like how cool, like lighthouse. There was no better name. And now to this day, now it's even like, oh my gosh, I could have never imagined any better name.
Right. It's perfect. It's perfect. So just quickly, why Hudson? Like, why did you decide? Because you're not from Hudson. You're from across the river originally, right?
So I actually was here in Hudson until 4th grade.
Okay.
So my parents, when they were, still together, were here. And all of my what I consider like happy growing up memories and all the things were always Hudson. So when I sought out to like open a studio, I never searched. I always knew Hudson.
You always knew Hudson. Okay.
It was always Hudson. It was never like, well, because I ended up graduating high school from Woodbury. Obviously, Then I moved out to Boston. It was never a question. Never.
Okay. So you knew it was Hudson before, like, because to know that Hudson could handle and I mean, because this is a hot yoga studio. This is a unique group of people that are going to come to it. Like, I'm like, will this place work? I remember watching you build this thing. I'm like, wow, she is brave. I don't know if there's enough people in Hudson to support this. And then, I mean, I know you're pulling from other areas and stuff, but I was like, wow. And so can you speak a little bit about that? Yeah.
I think looking back, knowing what I know now, would I have done it? Well, let's be honest. Like a lot of us, I think, can look, and that's the cool thing, though. I think
thank God.
A lot of us succeed with knowing the unknown. Like is way better sometimes. And I honestly, one of the best things I've learned in this whole process of owning my own business and opening, like building this from the ground up, and all the things is trusting my gut and my intuition and trust. You don't know for sure. No, there's a chance you're going to fail. I think almost knowing that too, and going in knowing that, like, what would you do if you knew you were going to fail? Would you still do it? And honestly, I look back and I'm like, yeah, I would still do this. I would still have done it, even if we were crashing and burning right now, because I believe there is a storyline of things that you're meant to do for the next big thing.
Amen. Yeah.
And truly, had I not trusted myself, and I've learned, because I really believe that we have in our guts the answer, and we second guess based on people maybe that have done it before or other opinions and things. But even when I've done that and I've steered away from my gut and listened to somebody that's maybe done something before and I should rightfully listen to, oftentimes I've been right had I listened to myself. And I guess this is a long answer to your question, but I had trust from day one. Something was telling me this was right. There was never a second guess about where. That's why a lot of people, just like yourself, ask, Hudson, why? Like, I did a slight bit of research, but there were some red flags. Like, can this happen?
Absolutely.
And I trusted in my gut. I do. And I think there's something to be said of that. Like, sometimes we've just got to jump and trust.
Amen. Yeah. I'm going to piggyback off that too. And I think trust and belief could be married together. Like I have such belief in certain things in my business that I'm just like, no, it's going to work. And then therefore you have the grit and the tenacity to keep going on those days that it sucks, because there are days that suck. But just from day one. And we have you guys, I don't know a lot of the story. So my mouth was just dropping. I'm tears in my eyes going, holy Hannah. And then so many similarities, like what you said about getting through COVID and the prior stuff that you've gone through to get through that. That was that just rocked me a bit because I was like, yeah, you're right. There was some big stuff that happened to set us up for that and proving to ourselves, no, we've been through hard things. We've been through really, really hard things, and we can get through this, even though we don't know what's coming or what's coming ahead. But that belief and trust and like, okay, one step forward. How do you, Lindsey, listen to your intuition? Like, how do you hear it? People hear it different ways or feel it different ways. What are things that you do or feel?
I'm a big feeler. I like feel things. I'm a big feeler in my gut. And I think that's come a lot with too. I feel so much more strongly now just because I'm coming up on, now it'll be 6 years sober. So I feel like everything is so fine tuned with me because I've been on the other side of like not having that I feel a lot in my gut. I go a lot off gut, even, talking about business hiring wise, like personality, people wise, I tend to get a lot of, signals in connection, connecting with people and different things. There's something in my gut that usually steers me in the right, not usually, it always steers me in the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you're hearing it. Like for me, it's, I just get a hit over the head, like so blatantly obvious, like, this is what happens. And it's usually when I'm doing something monotonous, like walking or vacuuming. Like I literally joke that I need to walk more and clean my house more because that's when I get just hit over the head with like ideas, but that they're truly good ideas, like good things. And the connection to, if you're with people or having to be with people, that's huge too. And I think your background in performing, like you mentioned, as an actor performer as well, you read people, you learn to read people, you learn to mimic or reflect what you're getting. We're just very intuitive that way, and pick up on it real quickly. So I love how all that plays into business.
Oh yeah. And like, even going back to like serving and bartending and that kind of thing, like you learn how to read people and to really understand those types of things. And I think connecting that with, I don't know about you, but I get signs and I do trust those, like little things where I feel like, whether you call them little winks from the universe, which I do, or little things that I'm like, yeah, that's telling me I'm in the right direction or something. And it's, I really do believe that synchronicity, I mean, there is no, I guess, chance to a certain extent. I really believe like little things are in place to be like, yep, that's the right direction. And I run into that all the time. And there's just no other way to explain it. Yeah. When stuff like that happens, I feel like, especially you're in the right direction or something's pointing you a certain way for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm going to bring it over to business now. What is a moment in your business that throughout your business journey, okay, so the past few years, that you were like, yes, I got this. I'm a badass. I got this.
I think obviously aside from COVID, because that's a whole nother thing we could go on and on about. I think I've felt, as business owners and especially first starting out, you wear so many hats and we try to do everything, and none of us, well, I shouldn't speak for myself. I feel like obviously I don't do everything awesome. There's some things I excel in more than others, but we sure try because you have to. You kind of have to be scrappy in the beginning. Not kind of, you do. And I've realized like, well, it's maybe not my favorite thing to do all of the things. I think I'm really proud of some of the things I've thrown at the wall and seeing if they stick, like some of the challenges I come up with and they end up being a big success, or even hearing people's comments about how this studio or the classes or just being a part of this community have positively affected their life. I'm like, I did it. That's what I sought out to do. And holy shit, I did it. Mm-hmm, That's when I'm like, yeah. I mean, if that doesn't say it, because here you're being scrappy, you're trying to do all the things in the background. Like I'm wearing all the hats, I'm unclogging toilets while I'm sitting here doing the graphics for social media, while I'm sitting here answering the phones and then trying to get new members. And then I'm teaching the class and I'm trying to put my music together and then I'm trying to keep my teachers happy and I'm trying to keep the students happy and I'm trying to keep everyone, happy, including myself, my family. And it's like, okay, but people, it's really doing what I sought out to do. And that's, improve people's lives. If that doesn't make me feel like a badass, then I guess they don't know what does. And I think I personally am a culprit of not celebrating those. That's a massive win. But even the small wins, I need to take a step back and a breather and celebrate some of this stuff, because saying it out loud right now is making me realize, man, it is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You need to make sure you have a feel-good folder. Do you have a feel-good folder? You need to save this is my tip to any business owner. You need to have a feel-good folder on your email and in real life, because you'll get cards or you'll get emails or text messages, and you need to screenshot them and put them in a photo feel-good folder. And because it just reminds you that, yes, you're doing it. And yeah, when you see that your work has affected somebody's life big time, it's the most awesome feeling. So make sure you do that if you haven't already, everybody. Awesome. Okay, lady. You are other level. I'm just so honored to be able to talk to you. So, as a business owner for visibility, what is a visibility strategy that you do in your studio, in your yoga business, that is kick-ass, that is working?
Right this moment, I feel like we've only hit the tip of the iceberg, but I feel like what we're doing well right now is showcasing kind of our authenticity and real selves via social media. I'm really trying to hit hard on, let's be real, let's be us, let's have some fun, because life is short. And there are plenty of other yoga studios out there that take things quite seriously, which, don't get me wrong, we do. We take our yoga and fitness very seriously, but I think ultimately we should be having some fun. So I am really trying, at least, to be showcasing that and reflecting that on social media, and try to utilize that to the best of our ability right now. I think we're getting there.
Yeah, so, you do a great job, and good. And that's what I would assume too. Your Instagram, her social is awesome. If you are not local to Hudson and don't know about Lighthouse, go follow her on Lighthouse Yoga. The link will be in the show notes. She just does a really great job of sharing and showing all perspectives. I like to have business owners show all perspectives, from the student, from the teacher, from the owner, from all those different angles that we get to see, and doing it in a way that you go, I want to be part of that. So good job. Good job.
That's the best compliment I can get. Thank you.
Yay. You're welcome. You're welcome. Awesome. Lindsey, this is such a treat. Like I said, I remember you starting to build this thing and going, I really hope it works, because I really would love a yoga studio 2 minutes away. I would really like that. A hot yoga studio. I really hope it works. So I was praying for you behind the scenes and hoping that would work. You are just an amazing connector and an amazing energy, a force in our community. And you have created an amazing tribe that I am just honored to be part of, but also just learn so much from you. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes. As we wrap up here, Lindsey, I want to, I ask everybody this. We're all business owners. We're all doing all the things where, some of us have a team, some of us have a bigger team. What is saving you now in your life?
Honestly, I think my kids, and I know that sounds, but it is, those moments with them remind me, it puts things in a different perspective, like how magical things can be. And that at the end of the day, the things that are stressing me out and getting me down, and they mean really nothing in the grand scheme of things. But I will say too, a good 90s, 2000s R&B session in my car, like the way to the studio, if maybe at a stoplight, that might be what's happening. That really helps too. Definitely.
Awesome.
Those two things. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Awesome. Thank you, Lindsey, so much for being part of the Brick and Mortar Visibility Podcast. I am so excited for the tribe to hear from you and hear your story, that amazing journey that you've gone through. And we're so excited to cheer you on and see where Lighthouse Yoga and Fitness grows to be. I'm so excited for you. So thanks for being here.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right, everybody. We will see you here same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, you're still here. You are such a rebel woman. I have to meet you. Come on over to the Rebel Women Tribe on Facebook, created for brick and mortar business owners just like you. In this group, we empower, encourage, and support each other. And every week, I come in and share with you a tip, tool, or strategy that I'm learning in my brick and mortar business to help you in yours. And you guys, this is the real stuff, the nitty gritty in real time of what's going on. So come on over to the Rebel Women Tribe on Facebook. I can't wait to meet you.